Norman is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Nagy, let me ask you a question. I asked some environmental activists that came by my office. Do trees have lives? Put your microphone on.
I'm sorry.
Do trees have lives like people? Do they grow and then there's a point that they die? Do you realize when the activists, I asked the same question and they said, what are you getting at? I said, it's a very simple question. Trees have lives. And they basically said, no, it's left untouched. The reason in California, if you ask any forester, the reason your forest fires, you got these regulations that are letting thatch build up 2 and 3 feet. That doesn't make sense. And then for the commissioner in California to let government bureaucrats dictate rates that private insurers can charge is ludicrous. In your role, you got a great example to actually go talk to a forester. And it can be maintained, but if you're never going to cut a tree, if a tree lives forever, if you're never going to cut them and log them at a proper time to allow nature to take place, the forest to breathe, if you're never going to take thatch away that's kind of a tinderbox, then you've got a problem. And that's a lot of the reason that California's having the problems that they're having. Mr. Boer, in your industry, you serve over 22 million Americans that buy manufactured housing. You and I were talking the other day, which I appreciate you coming by, some of the issues you're facing that's ruling the most affordable housing market that there is. If you go into a manufactured housing plant, they are doing an amazing job that site builders cannot do. It's controlled by a building that rain and the weather doesn't affect it. Tell me some of the things you were telling me about these regulations that are going to rule the most affordable housing and the most promising housing in the country. Go over a few things.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. I think along your point, manufactured housing really is serving the lower price points. So when we talk about affordability, people tend to talk about it at the median. And I think we're at the place where the rubber hits the road of whether people can buy a house or not. But yeah, to give you some specific examples about the changes that would be required by these regulations, we would have to build thicker walls from 2 by 4.
Give me an example, from 2 by 4s to
2 by 4 to 2.6 by 6. We'd have to dramatically increase the insulation. That would cause us to increase eave heights. And by doing that, we have to get higher pitched roofs that frankly would not work for the transportation of many of our homes to sites. It would require heating and cooling equipment that frankly is not available to our industry right now in sizes that it would require. So there's a lot of aspects like that. Windows that would require argon gas, which our industry currently doesn't have a supply for. So we would be redesigning thousands and hundreds of thousands of floor plans and trying to get those approved through the DAPIA process and the HUD certification. It would be a very difficult transition for sure, but it would dramatically change the design and increase the cost for prospective home buyers.
And wouldn't it behoove someone that's putting regulations on you, whether it doesn't matter what agency, to come to your plant? When I have a problem, I go to carpenters. I don't go to bureaucrats who've never nailed. They wouldn't know a nail from a toilet. So wouldn't it behoove those making regulations come by your plant or come by a plant and look at it?
Yeah, and we have another process under HUD where if you work through the HUD process, we've got a consensus committee there that's made up of consumer advocates, people from the industry that can help to understand how to come up with regulations that actually work for our industry. And that's what we encouraged at the front end of DOE's process. I started to speak earlier that at the front end, myself and other CEOs in the industry met with White House staff, and our message was, hey, we're on board. Let's go raise the standards for energy efficiency, but let us be part of that so that we can make sure the mandates and rules that are put forth actually work for our industry.
And agencies work for us. We don't work for agencies. We pay their salary. A lot of times that's forgotten in the real world of America and the real world of business. Well, I would just urge you to keep at it. Invite every one of the panelists to a plant and let's let them take a look at it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.